pen and paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, man. Episode 4 of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. I am your host, Scott. You know to follow me on Twitter at BarbChairScott on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow the Barbers Chair Network at BarbersChairNet on Twitter and Instagram. Follow HNB Media, HNB Media TV on Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, subscribe to the Barbers Chair Network Patreon at patreon.com/Barbers Chair Network. You got the $5 package. If you just want to hear summer sessions with me, my brother Flows, with Pav, with Damien, you know that you can sign up for that package. If you want everything, including our WWE Top 25 that we do with Pierce and the homie Chris and Rob, and if you want to hear our Sopranos breakdowns and other legendary shows, of course, subscribe to the $10 package of Barbers Chair All Access. But we are back here, man. As you can see, we are not on set. Hopefully we'll be back on set in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? We've got a couple, little situations going on. So hopefully everything gets better with that. But we are here and it's just time to go into it with my sound off, man. We are here, and it is when you hear this, it will be Thursday, July 22nd, and the NBA Finals is over. The NBA season is over. The Milwaukee Bucks are the NBA champions. And I think the thing about that I want to start off with my sound off is Giannis. Giannis shutting me the hell up. First of all, I just want to say I was a big Giannis fan before this past season that just finished. I really liked his story. I really liked how he pretty much, came from being a top 15 pick. Not a lot of people talking about him to being one of the best players in the league, being a 2-time MVP, being a defensive player of the year. And I thought that was pretty a good thing to, watch his growth over the last couple years. But the thing that kind of would annoy me and kind of got me off the bandwagon a little bit was the fact that he kind of went non-existent in the fourth quarters the last two postseasons. Remember the Eastern Conference Finals in 2019, where Kawhi Leonard and Toronto Raptors did a fantastic job of getting him up out of there and just pretty much making him not really a threat as he usually was. And last year in that government experiment that I like to call the the Miami Heat pretty much did their thing to get him out of there too. So I was just frustrated with him having all this talent and not being really able to dominate in the fourth quarter like I expected him to, like a lot of people expected him to. And this postseason, man, he shut me the hell up. I mean, just the way he stepped up, he was able to get the ball in the fourth quarter. Not only that, being able to defer to Chris Middleton a lot of times in the fourth quarter, knowing that, this is not my game where I could go shot for shot with the opposing team's best player all the time when I have a guy like Chris Middleton who can shoot very, very well. Now, of course, Middleton is streaky. Middleton has been a guy that I have not been a fan of. Middleton's another guy who shut me the hell up in this offseason. Not that I didn't think Middleton had the talent, but like I've said on this show, like I've said on my other podcasts, I always felt like he, as what Stringer Bell would say on The Wire, was a 40-degree day. Nobody gets excited about a fucking 40-degree day. But Giannis, man, he went out there last night. As we record, this is Wednesday. We went out there in Game 6 and just to me, had a top 3 finals closeout game performance. I still think number 1 on my list will probably be Michael Jordan's 45 on the road in Utah in Game 6 at age 36. And with Scottie Pippen pretty much missing a great chunk of that game on the road, I think that'll probably be the most impressive closeout game. But second will probably be Magic Johnson coming off and starting as center when Kareem got hurt in 1980 with his rookie season and pretty much dominating there, had a triple-double and won Finals MVP. I'll put Giannis at third. Giannis had 50 points, 16 for 25 from the field, 14 rebounds and 5 blocks. I mean, that dude was everywhere, man. And so I'm just gonna kick it off on my sound off by thank you, Giannis, for shutting me up. Thank you. I'm very happy. I've never been happy to be wrong because it's not like I hated Giannis. I just want him to do better, and I'm glad he did that, man. And also, you said Chris Paul home. Everybody know how I feel about CP3. So Giannis, you will have a fan in me forever, man. Just for that, man, and just to see a guy like that, his post-game interview was, and I always love those post-game interviews when you talk to the finals MVP every year. You can really see all the emotions pouring out of him, especially for players who just winning their first championship, and just see him out there being emotional about, how, his mother used to sell stuff in the streets to get them money, and, how he didn't even 8 months before he got to leave, he didn't even know where his family was going to get their next meal from. So something like that, you got to respect, man. And I just love every moment of it, man. So let's get into my rundown. First topic of the day, of course, we're going to be talking about a lot of Giannis on here. And by the way, later in the show, I will have my homie Pappy will be joining me as my guest. So he'll be later on to talk about, everything involving the NBA. A lot of NBA coverage on today's show, because this will be the last time we'll be discussing NBA unless there's some big free agency moves as we're getting ready to go into the stretch run of the baseball season. And, of course, the best sport of all, the best league of them all, NFL training camp is next week. But let's talk about it. Giannis. The Giannis era, in my opinion, began last night. I don't think that this is a situation where, it's one of those fly-by-night titles or, here today, gone tomorrow type thing. And I don't honestly think it's the end of the super team era either. I know Giannis had a quote in his post-game. He said, I could have left. I could have went and joined the super team, but that'd have been the easy way out. He said, I did it the hard way. I did the right way. Or he said, I did the right fucking way is what he said, And a lot of people got riled up about that comment. Even on social media this morning, I see a lot of people, kind of upset about that. And actually, I agree with Giannis. And my whole thing with the super teams is I always feel like I never liked it to begin with. If we go back 11 years prior to when the super team era as we know it really started. And I know a lot of people a lot of Laker fans, a lot of LeBron fans like to say, well, we're going to forget about Boston. Boston, in my opinion, wasn't the super team as the way we know it right now. And I say that because a lot of those dudes were past their prime. And not only that, it was a team that was put together by the front office. They traded for Kevin Garnett. They traded for Ray Allen. They gave up a lot of draft capital to get both of those. It's not like, when we saw LeBron linking up with D Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami, we had never seen no shit like that before, ever. And it just kind of like changed the face of the league. And that's just how it's been for 10 years, for the last decade, pretty much. And I have no problem with that now. That's just how it is. Even the thing with the Warriors, a lot of people got upset about KD joining a 73-9 team. And I always thought that was hilarious because which way is it going to be? We're talking about the 73-9 Warriors because you can't have it both ways. People always bring up the 73 wins when it's time to shit on the Warriors. They lost that final. I could see if the Warriors won and then you have KD joining the team that just won a championship. They lost that fucking championship. So it's not like it's anything to where he joined a winner that just came off a championship. So that was something that always kind of annoyed me too. But if you see the way Giannis does it, I think it's something that is a little bit more admirable. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and act like, oh, there's levels of championships. No, I disagree with that. I think there's all championships are created equal for these elite players. And I say elite players because a lot of idiots out there when we talk about rings, like to bring up Robert Horry and his 7 rings. With all due respect to Robert Horry, I think Robert Horry is one of the greatest role players of all time, one of the greatest clutch players of all time. But Robert Horry's 7 rings aren't the same as Michael Jordan's 6 or the same as LeBron's 4 or the same with Kobe's 5. Anybody with a brain knows that shit. But with, Giannis's championship isn't any better than LeBron's 3 that he won with Miami. 2 that he won with Miami, and 1 that he won with Cleveland. It's not any better than Kevin Durant's 2 with the Golden State Warriors. But I will say it was probably a little more impressive. And I say that because he had guys like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton with him. And these are good players. Chris Middleton is a multi-time all-star. Drew Holiday is a solid guard, one of the best defensive guards in the league. But these ain't guys you look at as superstar players, superstar caliber players. These aren't guys who, are going to the Hall of Fame. And I think that's what makes it a little more impressive. And, we can sit up here and talk about Phoenix and their run. And my hat's off to them. And I'll get to them later in the show. And, I'm not going to sit up here and blame injuries either. Injuries are part of the game. But Milwaukee's run was a little bit more impressive. Phoenix, every team they beat had a significant injury. When they beat the Lakers, Anthony Davis missed the last 2 games of the series. LeBron hasn't been the same since he messed up his ankle in April. You go against the Denver Nuggets. They went against the Denver Nuggets without Jamal Murray. Go against the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard missed a great majority of that series. So we have to include that. And that's not shitting on the Suns. You play who's in front of you. You can't control injuries. If one of my teams won a championship and the other team missed their best player, I wouldn't give a damn. As a fan, I wouldn't give a shit. If I was a player, I wouldn't give a shit. That's just how the game is. But if you look at Milwaukee, their run, getting their revenge against Miami, who embarrassed them in the government experiment last year. And even though Kyrie Irving got hurt, even though James Harden was still out there on one leg, I think if you can even look at Harden, the scoring wasn't there like it probably should have. But Harden's probably number one skill is his playmaking ability. He's still able to be out there and make plays. And they still went on the road, won a game 7 where KD was cooking. KD was cooking him. KD's foot was just like his shoe was just an inch or two smaller. Maybe Brooklyn would be NBA champions right now. We don't know. But that was a big legacy moment for them. They went out there and took advantage of it. When Giannis got hurt in the Eastern Conference Finals, you had Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday carry the load and lead this team back to the NBA Finals. So it was just a real impressive thing. And I think the end of this game signals the Giannis era. Now, I still think pound for pound, Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA. But it's hard to argue anybody who thinks that Giannis is the best player in the NBA. And I think this is officially Giannis' league. And I don't think that LeBron is, done or anything like that. I don't think he's going to win a championship again. But I do think he'll always be in that championship conversation, at least for the next couple of years. And I do think the West is going to be reloaded. I do think Brooklyn's going to come back next year. But I think this is a tremendous monkey off the back of the Milwaukee Bucks. And I say that because now I think next year's no limits. And it's kind of scary. I don't think we've seen final form Giannis. I mean, he's only 26 years old. I think he can get even better. Most athletes don't really get into the prime of their career until about 27, 28 years old. And I think people are going to want to play with Milwaukee. I don't know if you can get any big, name free agents, but at this point, you really don't need that. If you get you a couple solid more guys to kind of re-up and get ready for what Brooklyn is going to throw you or whatever Philly's going to look like next year, I think that's going to be something that's good. And I think it's something that's really like the passing of the torch kind of. I like the picture that the Bucks social media tweeted out at the end of Game 5. It was kind of like a poetic picture to me where Giannis is like in midair catching the lob from Chris Middleton, which is going to be a legendary play that we're going to see in the annals of not just Milwaukee and Wisconsin history, but in NBA history. It's like you saw Chris Paul fouling him, trying to hold on to him like it's like his last chance. And you see LeBron in the background, as he's courtside watching the game. And it kind of looked like, oh shit, it's like this is his league now. And I kind of like it's like the unofficial pass of the torch. So I think it's Giannis' league. I think it's the Giannis era. And I think from here on out, the sky's the limit. I think the sky's the limit is from Giannis, not the sky's the limit is for the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you look at his stats, I mean, if you look at his just resume, he has one of the most crazy resumes in the league, man. I mean, he is the first ever player to average 30, 10, and 5 on 60% shooting in the finals. First player to have 50, 10, and 5 in a finals game. And he's the first ever to win most improved player, MVP, defensive player of the year, and finals MVP. The only other two people to win MVP, defensive player of the year, and finals MVP were the GOAT Michael Jordan and arguably the greatest center of all time, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, man. So you gotta just salute. And it's just something right now. Even if you don't like Giannis, I don't understand how you can hate this dude. And if you're the NBA and you were looking for who's going to be that guy who's going to be able to take the mantle of this is your league when LeBron ultimately retires, I think Giannis. I think Giannis is going to be the one who's going to do it. So let's get into the rest of the NBA Finals recap as we get into this, man. I think this was a very entertaining finals. I know a lot of people came into this series kind of bitching about it, and it kind of annoyed me. And I feel like if you were one of those people who you didn't want to watch because LeBron wasn't playing, or you didn't want to watch because Curry wasn't playing, you missed some damn good basketball. Not only did I think this postseason was fun, first postseason we've had in 2 years with crowds. This finals is very competitive, and it was the most competitive finals we've seen, honestly, probably in about, as far as game for game, probably since 2013. I mean, if you look at this final since then, 2014 was was a 5-game series. The Spurs pretty much handled Miami. 2015 was so-so. 2016, I know everybody's going to bring up 2016. 2016 has a legendary story. The Cavs being the first team to come back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals, and LeBron James finally avenging his loss to the Warriors the year before. But if you look at it from a game-for-game perspective, outside of Game 7, Game 5, you had Kyrie and Bron putting up 80 points combined. A lot of them games was some blowouts. It wasn't really the most entertaining series game by game. But I will say that Game 7 is probably the top 3 basketball game I've ever seen. But as far as a series perspective, I think this finals that we just finished watching is the best one we've seen in almost 8 years. So I have to give it to them. But we talked about the Bucks. Let's talk about Phoenix. Let's talk about Phoenix Suns, man. Phoenix had a great run. Chris Paul had a great run. Devin Booker had a great run. But like the greatest rapper of all time, Brooklyn Prophet by the name of Sean Corey Carter once said, "Moral victories are for minor league coaches. I'm not really finna hear up here and give them their flowers. You lost. The losers just a second. If you lose, nobody remembers. Nobody's gonna remember this run 5-10 years from now because nobody cares. Ask yourself, if you're not a diehard sports fan, do you know who lost the Super Bowl 10 years ago? Probably not. You know who lost the NBA Finals 10 years ago? Probably not, because we don't think about the losers. And I know a lot of people like ring culture. And the reason I have a problem with that, because you play to win the fucking game, which is my favorite sports quote ever. Shout out to the guy, Herm Edwards. You play to win the fucking game. And there's winners and there's losers. Now, that doesn't mean that your career is any less spectacular or, you weren't a great player. I don't think this changes Chris Paul's legacy anymore than it did before. I still think he's a top 5 point guard of all time. It definitely could enhance it, but you lost. It's just really that plain and simple. And if you're Phoenix, you had to win right now. You had to win right now because of what's going to happen next year. The West is going to be back. The Lakers are going to be back. You assume that Anthony Davis will be more healthy than he was this year. Now, I say assume because I saw a quote on Twitter, which is actually kind of funny to me. Healthy Anthony Davis just means he ain't hurt yet. That's all that shit means. But Anthony Davis will be back. LeBron will be back. I'm pretty sure they're going to add somebody else to that team. Even if Kawhi Leonard does miss majority of the season, I think what we've seen from the Clippers this year is that Paul George is a more effective player when he's the number one option. So I think they'll be there. Denver's going to get Jamal Murray back. The Warriors are going to be back. Klay Thompson's going to be back. Who knows if they add anybody during the offseason? Who knows what's going to happen? So I really feel like they blew a golden opportunity, especially if you're Chris Paul. Chris Paul is 36 years old now. And it's something that he's going to look at back down the road like, damn, I fucked that up. And as far as, his contract goes, I think he's going to stay in Phoenix. One, he's the president of the Basketball Association. So I'm president of the Players Association, so he can't really go out and take a massive pay cut. I know we hear the Laker rumors. Unless he takes a massive pay cut, which he really can't do as the president, I don't see that happening. If I'm the Lakers, honestly, I wouldn't want no parts of him or Russell Westbrook. I think that is playing backwards. I think you need a younger point guard, somebody who makes more sense, get you more spacing on that team. What we saw, that was a huge issue for the Lakers in the postseason. Is none of their bench players could get shots. So I think that's something that they got to watch out for. And I just think, man, Chris Paul, it's like, where do you go from it? And if you're the Phoenix Suns, you got to find a way to re-up. You got to find a way to re-up because you can't just run it back with the way the rest is going to be reloaded next year. So I don't really know what to say about Phoenix. I want to say hats off to them. But, as a sports fan, I would probably rather not make the championship than go to the championship and lose. Bears lost Super Bowl almost 15 years ago. I'm still not over that shit. So that's just my opinion on that. But I thought it was very entertaining finals. And I'm interested to see what this offseason does. So speaking of the offseason, let's go into that. Of course, you all know I am a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. And this is going to be a very interesting offseason for my team. This is going to be AK Arturas Carniceovas, the Bulls president of basketball operations, the Bulls GM, Mark Eversley. This will be their second offseason. And this will be their first offseason with knowing what they have on this roster. And as far as a Bulls fan, my expectations would be two things. You need a point guard. That's the number one thing. The Kobe White experiment as a starting point guard is dead. I don't need to see Satoransky on this roster ever the fuck again. Go out there and get you a vet guard. And of course, there's been rumors in the media, from Shams, from Woj, and different guys like that saying that they're going to go out there and aim for Alonzo Ball. I think Alonzo Ball will be a great addition to the team. He's actually number one on my list. I feel like his style would mesh a lot with this offense. I think, Alonzo's one of those guys, but I don't even think he's really found his footing yet, got his footing yet in the league. And I feel like this young roster with Billy Donovan's coaching style will really, really help him the most. So I think that'll be number one on my list. There's Kyle Lowry. I think Kyle Lowry would be a good addition. I think Malcolm Brogdon would be cool, even though I don't know if Brogdon will really work because he gets injured a lot. And I think he's more of a score first point guard more than, like a Kyle Lowry or Alonzo Ball. But I also think an interesting name, too, is Derrick Rose. Bring the boy home, as I like to say. I don't know if he would come home because, that pressure of playing back home again. I don't know if he would do that. And I do think he likes this situation in New York. But we do know that he still has a lot of love for the Bulls. Him and the Reinsdorf are still cool. So that's definitely a possibility. But as a Bulls fan, I hope we can get a Zach LaVine extension this offseason. I wouldn't bet on it because I'm pretty sure he's going to wait till next year when he can gain more money, which is a smart move for him as a player. But I think that if you can get a point guard that makes sense on this team and get defenders, this is one of the worst defensive teams that I've seen last year. And then you're going to have a full training camp with Zach and Vooch together. And last year, at the end of last season, they really got into a groove, and then Zach had to be put in COVID protocol. That kind of fucked up their groove, and they pretty much killed any chances of them getting into the play-in game. And so for next year, also Pat Williams' emergence, like he has to really step up next year. He had a pretty good rookie campaign. He's got a full offseason, full training camp he's going to have for the first time. And I think if he can be more aggressive offensively, it's going to really help this team a lot. And as a fan, anything less than a 6 seed to me will be disappointed next year because I'm not here to watch them in a play-in game, and the play-in tournament is back. I told all y'all it's coming back, by the way. Everybody's like, oh, it's just going nowhere. It's stupid. No, it was good for the league. We had a very enjoyable time watching the playing this year. Now, I'm pretty sure you're not going to have a Steph Curry versus LeBron James type deal anymore. But, I expect both of those teams to be healthier and have higher seeds next year. But it's definitely going to be, if I'm a Bulls, I don't want to see that. I need them. They need to be hosting a 7-game series or be in a 7-game series for next season to be a success. So it's going to be an interesting year for the Bulls. I do think it's going to be at least an 80% roster overhaul. I don't expect a lot of people to be there. I think the only people who are guaranteed to be back next year are Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, Pat Williams, and maybe Kobe White. Those are the only three that'll be a lot to me. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Now let's get into the NFL. They don't have it here on the rundown. I thought I added it on the side, but obviously I didn't. There's two-part thing. We'll talk about the NFC North real quick. I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers to start it off. Aaron Rodgers, he's kind of in limbo right now. We've been on Aaron Rodgers' watch literally since the draft. We've been on his watch when the news that came out that he wasn't happy with the Packers. He wanted to leave. And it's pretty much been on a standstill since then. He's been hosting Jeopardy. He's been on vacation with his fiance and his friends. He was in that little golfing tournament with Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady. And Packers camp starts in the week. And as of right now, he does not plan to attend. But the thing to me, and then news came out this week, Adam Schefter said that he turned down a 2-year deal that would have made him not only the highest paid player in the league, but the highest paid player in all of football. That actually it was a 2-year deal because he already got 3 years left on this deal. So 5 years total. It would have made him the highest paid player in the history of football. He turned it down. Now, we don't know the details of this contract. We don't know what incentives was in there. We don't know what options was in there. We don't know how much of that money was guaranteed. So, but to see that he turned that down, we do know. And like I've always said, it's not about the money. The Packers organization fucked up 2 years ago. Actually, not 2 years, last year, 2020 draft, when they drafted Jordan Love and didn't consult Aaron Rodgers. You should always do that. If you have a franchise guy who's been there, like, look, Aaron, you're getting a little older. You know what I'm saying? So we've got to protect our future and have this guy waiting in the wings instead of just doing it without informing him. That's what he fucked up. And Aaron Rodgers is a guy who divorced his damn mama. He divorced his family. His mama don't talk to him. His brothers don't talk to him. Even Brett Favre said, when Aaron don't fuck with you, he don't fuck with you. So to me, expecting him to get on the Packers side, I just don't see. Now, with that being said, he has to make it a definitive decision now because the Packers aren't going to trade him. The Packers are calling his bluff. Like, we don't believe you're going to sit out this entire season. So if you're Aaron Rodgers, you got to do one or two things. You got to either sit the entire season out, go do Jeopardy, do some other shit, or quit, retire. That's the only two options because I don't see the Packers trading him. Now, I think that's very stupid and very arrogant of the Packers. If I'm a team and I know one of my best players doesn't want to be there, I'm going to trade him and get as much as I possibly can for him, especially at his age. And I understand he's reigning MVP. I understand the Packers won the last 2 NFC championship games, but you might as well cut your losses and get everything that you could possibly say. And I'm saying this as a guy looking at it from a football perspective. I'm not saying this as a biased Bears fan. And as a Bears fan, my Bears fan mind, I'm kind of split on it. 50% of me wants him to just leave. Please leave. Let your 16-year reign of terror on my franchise come to an end. But the competitive side of me is like, I kind of want Justin Fields to bust his ass. I kind of want to get my last piece of revenge to send him out, to have an opportunity to play the Packers with the quarterback who ain't trash. Because let's just keep it all the way funky. The dominance that the Packers have had in the NFC North over the last decade plus has been because the NFC North has had a lot of whack-ass quarterbacks. Of course, we all know the Bears' history. The Vikings ain't had nobody. Their best quarterback is Kirk Cousins. And that tells you everything you need to know. The Lions on the Lions. So they feasted off a bad division for 16 years. So I want to see, and it's not like the Packers just used to just kick our ass. That's not like 2 or 3 games. Every game has been incredibly close with having some of the worst quarterbacks you've ever seen in your life. So I want to see what it's like when we got our own quarterback. So I'm kind of torn on really what I want to happen, but I'm cool either way. But if you're the Packers, it's an incredibly stupid move. I would trade him, and then even if he does come back, you're gonna have a disgruntled superstar. That's gonna rub off on the rest of the team. And I just feel like they just cut their losses and let it go. So Aaron, it's like, you know, it's time to shit or get off the pot. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you gotta let them know what you're gonna do. It's actually kind of getting tired. If you did all this, you're just gonna show up late August. It's like, what's the fucking point? So he's really got to put, you know, draw a line in the sand and see what he wants to do. Now, as far as the Bears, I'm very excited for this upcoming season. Training camp begins next week. And of course, anybody watching this podcast, watching this show, you're very, I'm pretty sure you're in tune with 79th and Hollis, which is the show that started everything for me on the media side. Me and my brother Flows. Flows will be at Hallis Hall next week. He will be covering the Bears training camp, our first training camp. So, you know, subscribe, listen to the pod. We're gonna keep you up to date with everything, man. So there's a lot of storylines going into this upcoming season. We got the A-Rob contract thing. He still hasn't got his contract. He's going to play the season now on the franchise tag. You got the defense. How's the defense gonna look? Is it gonna be any older? Can Khalil Mack have a bounce back year? And it's kind of funny because Khalil Mack, like, for any other defensive lineman, what he done the last 2 years would be looked at as elite. But we have such a high expectation for Khalil that 16 sacks combined in the last 2 seasons is looked at as mediocre. And can he go out there and have a defensive player of the year type season? You know, how's Eddie Jackson going to be this year after having not really that good of a year last year. You know, how's the offensive line going to look? Got a lot of young guys on there. But the biggest question, when is Justin Fields going to start? And I know a lot of Bears fans are losing their shit. Oh, what's the point of sitting him? As a Bears fan, I honestly don't care when he starts. And I say that because this. Andy Dalton is not good, but compared to the other quarterbacks we've had, he ain't that bad either. I think that, you know, starting the season with Andy Dalton would not be the worst thing possible. And I think it's just be a matter of time before Justin does start. And I say that because either Andy's going to huff it up and just be trash, or he's going to get hurt. One of the two things is going to happen first. And it's just something I feel like Bears fans just have to be a little patient, which is, you know, Bears fans and patience don't really go hand in hand. But like I said a couple of days ago, I've waited 30-something years for a franchise quarterback. I can wait a couple more days. Couple more weeks at least. And I do think that he will be the starter before week 6. I definitely think he will. Now, Matt Nagy has an itchy trigger finger. He might be out there week 1. I mean, this is somebody who said last year, we're going to give Mitch every opportunity to succeed. Mitch threw an interception in the second quarter of game 2 last season. He pulled his ass for Nick Foles. So, you know, one thing is that if you're not a Bears fan, and even if you are a Bears fan, you got to understand, Matt Nagy is a liar. I don't believe shit that comes out of his word. And if I'm him, if I'm Nagy, and if I'm Pace, I make it a legit quarterback competition. If Justin goes out there and kicks his ass in camp, not only are the players going to know, there's no point in holding him back at that point. So I'm interested to see what that battle is going to be like. And all eyes on Matt Nagy, man. He can't use Mr. Trubisky as a scapegoat for his shitty plays. I always felt that Mitch was terrible. Don't get me wrong, Mitch was terrible. But I feel like Matt Nagy's play calling was just as bad. And he never really did Mitch any favors. You know, he could always blame Mitch for his bad calls. He can't do that now. He got his quarterback. Go out there, show me something, man. As far as record, I don't really have a record prediction. I don't really know, what this team is going to look like. You know, in as much as we're excited for Justin, he's still a rookie. So it's going to be that learning curve. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't come out there and just be like Patrick Mahomes right away. I would love for that to happen. It would be fucking awesome if he comes out and he's just fucking bodying it from the jump. But there might be a learning curve. You know, I think he's the most NFL-ready QB. So I don't really have a record prediction. As long as he goes out there and he has a great rookie campaign and stays healthy, that's good enough for me. Let's get into MLB Trade Deadline. When you hear this, we will be officially 8 days away from the NBA Trade Deadline, which will be July 30th. A lot of big names have been scheduled to be on the trading block. The Cubs, Chris Bryant, and Craig Kimbrell. The Colorado Rockies, Trevor Story. The Texas Rangers, Joey Gallo. Just to name a few. And it's kind of like a staring contest right now between MLB general managers. A lot of smoke, but no fire. So I'm going to make my MLB trade deadline predictions on what players I do think will move. I do think that we will see some traction start to pick up like around Monday, Tuesday as we get closer to the deadline. I think a lot of teams are going to be buyers. Don't want to give up too much for these guys when nobody's making trades right now. And I think that's the real big holdup. I think next week sellers are going to get real desperate. My first big prediction, I think that Chris Bryant will be traded to the New York Mets. Now, I'm not going to name whatever packages. I don't know the fucking packages. I don't know the Mets farm system and what players they have that they could send to the Cubs for a nice package. But I think Chris Bryant's gone. And if you're the Cubs, you want to get him out of here because you know he's not going to re-sign. The biggest mistake the Cubs have made was 6 years ago when they intentionally held his ass down for a month because of, arbitration and keeping extra year control. That pissed him off. That pissed his agent, Scott Boras, off. And he has not let go of that since. And it's kind of been a thing for the last couple of years. We knew that when his contract with the Cubs out, he was going to go. So if you're the Cubs, cut your losses, get as much as you can for KB. And thank you for being MVP in 2016. Thank you for leading this team to their first championship in over 100 plus years. Enjoy your career with the Mets. And I think if you're the Mets, that would be a great pickup for them. He can play multiple positions. He can help with Frankie Lindor being on the injured list. They're going through a lot of things with the Grom being on the injury list. He would definitely help on the offensive side of things. So I think he will be traded. As far as the other Cubs, I think Craig Kimbrell is going to be traded. Their all-star closer. Here's my prediction. I think he'll be traded, but he ain't going to have to move. He's going to be traded across town. I think he's going to be a member of the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox number one issue right now is bullpen help. They have the best closer in the American League is Liam Hendricks, and they've also got Michael Kopech, who can be used as an 8-inning guy, multiple inning reliever. But they've got a lot of holes in that bullpen, a lot of leaky bullpen issues, and that issue that they really got addressed. And I think Craig Kimbrell's the one. Now you can also say, well, he's a closer. How's that going to work when you got Liam Hendricks? He might have to be an 8th-inning guy. I think he can work. Now it might hit him on the ego side of things. But if you're trying to go out there and win a championship, I think that's the best move to do. And I think that will be a move that the White Sox will do. Another move that I think the White Sox will take advantage of. I think they will get Eduardo Escobar from the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's been a lot of rumors about that over the last month. Rumor that a trade was close, but then he got hurt. I do think they're going to do that. I think they're going to have to give up that prospect, Jake Berger. I think Jake Berger will be the guy that you have to give up. And I think Jake is a good young guy, but position-wise, with Moncada at third, with Andrew Vaughn at being at first, I don't really see a spot for him position-wise long-term with the Sox. So you're probably going to have to give him up to get Eduardo Escobar, and that'd be somebody who can fill in with Nick Madrigal being out for the rest of the season, because you can't go into October, platooning with Lurie Garcia and Danny Minnick. You just can't do that. And all due respect to Lurie Garcia, I love Lurie Legend, man. He's one of the best bench guys in the league, but he's not an everyday starter. You can't have him be an everyday second baseman going to the playoffs. So I think Eduardo Escobar and Craig Kimbrell will be Chicago White Sox. I think Trevor Story is going to stay. I think Trevor Story is going to stay in Colorado. I don't think there's anybody going to be willing to give up that much for him, knowing he's going to be a free agent next year. And his numbers, he isn't having the typical Trevor Story season. And his numbers outside of Coors Field are very, very sus. Coors Field has inflated hitting numbers, man. So I don't think he is going to go anywhere. And I do think somehow, some way, the Yankees will find a way to get Joey Gallo. I think the Yankees will find a way to get Joey Gallo. He's got another year on his deal before he hits arbitration in 2022. I think that'd be a good addition for them. They need to score some more runs. They need to make that late wild card push. They're not the team that I even though I didn't think the Yankees were going to be, a team that could make the World Series, because I just didn't really question their pitching. I didn't, like their pitching like that, but I definitely didn't think that they would be 9 games out in the division. So right now they got to try to go out there and get that wild card. So those are my major MLB trade deadline acquisitions predictions. And I think we'll see the market heat up around Monday or Tuesday, man. And now we're going to get into our interview. We've got my guy, one of the founder of this great network that you're watching right now, HNB Media TV, my man Pappy. Pav, are you there?
I'm here, man. What's up?
What's going on, bro?
I'm chilling, man. How you feeling?
I am doing pretty good. Just making sure I got my camera right, But you know where to follow him, man, at Pappy World on Twitter and Instagram, man. You can visit his website, pavverbs.com. Download songs about women on all streaming platforms. You got a new video out. Soft Lips is out right now. Check that out.
Right now, check that out.
Shooting a new video this weekend. We got two good songs coming for you in a couple weeks, man, between you and the homie Tia Swim Team, man. But thank you for coming on here on the show. We were supposed to do this in person, but the Delta variant had other plans. So we are here.
Yeah, but we here though. We made it work.
We made it work, man. So what's going on, man? You're Pastradamus, man. You came at the beginning of the season. You said the Milwaukee Bucks were going to win the championship. Everybody, including me, thought you were fucking crazy. I was like, oh, there's no way. The Lakers can either win it. The Nets can win it. I'm going to give you the floor to, give yourself an applause for what happened.
Nah, I mean, like just once. First of all, I always thought that the way the Bucks lost last year was kind of overrated. Like they lost one game with no time left on the clock. Giannis sprains his ankle. I think he missed a couple of games, and even like the final game, I think. They won a game without Giannis, and I think the final game, Giannis either came back and he was out for.
Yeah, I think he was hurt.
Yeah, but still, it was like a close game until the end, and then there was just so much going on. The Jacob Blake situation had happened down the street from Milwaukee, so Milwaukee led the walkout. There was just like a lot going on in the government experiment, as you called it. Jimmy Butler outscored it. Like, I rock with Jimmy, but outscoring the team in the whole quarter, the hell out of here.
Jimmy, my man, but he definitely a bubble buddy.
Hell out of here.
He a bubble buddy.
He had Tyler Hero look like peak Jeff Hornacek.
Look like the second coming of Jason Williams.
Like, he was balling. Jay Crowder couldn't miss a shot. Yeah. I'm like, bro, it's not like, nah. I just thought people overrated the way that they lost last year. And Drew Holiday, I thought was a huge pickup. I've heard many times, Kevin Durant does a lot of podcasts. I've heard Kevin Durant many times say Drew Holiday is one of the best defenders in the NBA. Kevin Durant is one of the best scorers I've seen with my own two eyes. So if KD say he one of the best defenders in the NBA, I think that man one of the best defenders in the NBA. And you put that man with Giannis, who I've said many times, I think he deserved the Defensive Player of the Year award, but he won it. But also, he's the best help defender probably I've ever seen, honestly. Like, help defense, he's probably one of the best help defenders that probably I've ever seen. You put that with him. Middleton, I've always liked Middleton. You've
been a Middleton guy.
Yeah, Lord Middleton, as I call him. He's like Middleton is a 50, 40, 90 guy. Obviously, he's not consistent every single night, but he still is a 50, 40, 90 guy. He's not a bad defender. I thought that the team had everything that they needed to win basketball games and to win a championship. Giannis just had to get better. And credit to Giannis, Giannis got much better. I've never seen Giannis play or do some of the things that he's done in this final series that he did. Actually, I've told you this like in just conversation. I think that the injury kind of helped him use his finesse more and use his skill more. I think if he didn't get hurt, he would have been trying to power through people and maybe would have relied on some of the things that he relied on before that maybe didn't work as well. But I've never seen the man finish the way he finished. His touch was incredible. He was shooting the ball greatly. And also the mid-season acquisition of PJ Tucker, I think, cannot be understated. Once they got Tuck, I'm like, yep, they got everything they need. And again, PJ Tucker is another guy who Kevin Durant has said many times is one of the best defenders on planet Earth and gives him the most trouble, which is why I picked them to beat the Nets. Coach Bud, you got to give Coach Bud credit for this performance. I think you do.
I think they want to spite of Bud.
No, here is why I give Bud credit. I think Bud did a great job of just managing minutes. Giannis didn't play 40 minutes. Like, if you look at his averages,
in Game 6,
I think in Game 6 he played 42. But like as far as like his whole like series, he played 38.9. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that was because in Game 6 he played 42. Yeah. Like the way that he managed everybody's minutes, I think was incredible. And I think you had to give him credit for that. So shout out the Bucks. I love being right.
Being right is awesome. Being right is awesome. It's definitely my favorite thing. Like I said, I'm not gonna give Bud that credit because I kind of feel like even when Lebatard said on in their post game, I'd fire Bud tomorrow.
You gotta keep him.
I still get rid of his ass. I feel like they won in spite. I feel like if the White Sox win the World Series, I'll be saying the same thing in October. We won in spite of Tony La Russa. It's just I feel like if you have that much talent, sometimes it goes over. But either way, salute to them. Now, I was talking about earlier in the show, talking about the Giannis era. Do you think this signals a new era in the NBA, or this is just something to whatever, it'll be Lakers or Nets next year?
Actually, shout out my homie Glasses, because we had this conversation actually like right before the show. I think it signals a new era. It signals the era that America is fucked. Let's actually really analyze this. The last 3 MVPs, all foreign born. Yeah. The last 3 defensive player of the years, all foreign born. I think I think we may not see a American-led MVP this entire decade. So, yes, I do think that we're entering a new era, but the era is there is a serious problem with American basketball. I mean, obviously, American teams basketball, there is a serious problem.
Obviously, you got Luka. I think
you got Luka coming up. But
do you think Giannis win any more MVP?
I think he will, but even still, Embiid, he's not American.
This is true.
Embiid isn't American. Jokic just won. I think that coming into next year, also Giannis is 26. I still think he can get better.
That's what I said early on the show. That's what I
said. What if he plays like again? He wasn't playing the way he played in the finals all year. No. What if he plays like that all year?
Yeah. I think, like you said, the injury is crazy because it kind of made him be more finesse, and I think it also kind of made him I feel like he's more of a big man in this series a little bit. Like And I think that one thing that you can even see in this post game, he trusts Chris Middleton so fucking much. You know what I'm saying? Like he even said in his interview, like he said he don't understand how much he motivates me. So for him to like give that to Chris Middleton, and Chris Middleton had a shaky game until the fourth quarter. He woke up in the fourth quarter. I think that's going to help a lot. I think the biggest thing for Milwaukee is that monkey is off.
And I think the scariest thing for the league is Giannis has confidence. Like I think at some 100%. Points in times, I don't think like I don't always know if Giannis had the same level of confidence in himself, but you can see game by game, every single game, the confidence was growing because even just the shots he was taking, you ain't see him backing up and taking turnaround face and pivotal moments or, you know, continuing to go. Now, again, he hit 16, I think, 16 free throws?
Yeah.
Like
16
honestly,
out of 19 from the field,
something like that. Like honestly, I think he shot 60% from the free throw line this season. What if he shoots 70 next year? That's like 6 extra points. That off top is 32 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal. So like, yes, I think he picks up more MVPs. There's Embiid, there's Luka. Like, I think that's the era it's signaling that like foreign born. Obviously, this is what the NBA wanted when they sent the dream team over there 30 years ago.
It's the dream team's goal realized, you know what I'm saying? Like Jordan, Pippen, Magic, Bird, that whole crew, they made motherfuckers want to hoop. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of them, even the younger guys like Luka and them, even though they were like, they weren't even born when the dream team was around. They've seen the dream team takes because a lot of that shit they didn't get till later on. So that type of thing you see now, I think it's great for the league, but I think as far as the Bucks are concerned, like Rudy T always said, never underestimate the heart of a champion. Now they like, look, y'all can't fuck with us now. Like, you know, even though we know Philly, you know, maybe Philly gets Dame, whatever they want to do, or Brooklyn gets back, they're still gonna be like, okay, we the champs. Y'all still got to beat us. And I think that's something that's tremendous, especially with Giannis. Now they have a formula in the fourth quarter. They know we can trust Chris Middleton to make a big shot consistently. We can trust Giannis to be unstoppable in the game. That's going to be scary. And if you're the Nets, we still don't know if all three of them can stay healthy. Yeah. That's a big thing that's coming up with them. So I think it's good. Do you think that as far as like the Giannis era, do you think like the official passing of the torch has gone between him and LeBron, or you think it's still kind of LeBron's league?
I mean, I don't think it's LeBron's league anymore. I mean, I think that like, I mean, I don't know if it's Giannis's quote unquote league yet. I think that, you know, now we want to see if they can repeat. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's his quote unquote league yet, but it's definitely not LeBron. We're definitely entering into a new era of basketball. Like again, even the picture you mentioned earlier, the picture when you see LeBron watching Giannis, like, damn, I remember when I could do that. Looking like, damn, I remember when I could do that. Like, yeah, this is definitely again. I don't know if it's Giannis's league, but we're definitely entering into a new era and we're transitioning away from the basketball that we grew up on.
Definitely. Let's talk about the Phoenix side of it, man. Phoenix, like I said earlier, they blew a golden opportunity, man. You know, they blew a golden opportunity. I don't think this is a team where they can be like, oh, we're just going to run it back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. What do you think this does for Chris Paul? Do you think his legacy suffers? What do you think he's going to do this offseason? Because he said he wants to get paid a lot of money, but he also wants to win. I know the Lakers came up, but he's the president of basketball operations. I can't see him taking a massive pay cut. What do you think is going to happen for Phoenix and for Chris Paul?
I mean, if I'm Chris Paul at this point, you're probably not going to win a championship, but what he can do is set himself up for a front office job or like a president job, something like that. And I think Phoenix is maybe a great place for it. Obviously, you see James Johnson is there. James Jones is there as well. I think he's the president, or is it the general manager or what, something like that. But I think he's setting himself up. I think he's setting his life after basketball life up personally right now. I think he probably stays in Phoenix. I don't really see anywhere that would allow him to, one, get paid, and two, also get paid and also compete. Like, I don't think Phoenix is going to get back to a championship next year, but I think that they can definitely compete. I think they do need some roster changes. I think they really need just more defense in general. I also think that they could probably use a backup center badly. Yeah. Like Frank Kaminsky, not granted.
No help for Aiden.
Like Frank Kaminsky was getting pivotal minutes in the game 6. Now, granted, he gave him some minutes. He did some quality things. But if I got to depend on Frank Kaminsky to give me quality minutes in a pivotal playoff game, something is seriously wrong with that roster.
Right.
Something is
There
wrong
was
with
a
the
moment
roster.
where he was going shot for shot, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
What
here?
is going on? Something is wrong with that roster. So I definitely think that they just need more in general defense. And Devin Booker just has to get better than me, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, Devin Booker, man. First of all, I can never bring up Kobe comparisons again. Like me and you were both saying what was going on. It's still
Relax.
You know what I'm saying? The only thing they got in common is Kobe like talking to his ass. Like that's the only thing they had in common. Like just stop. I think Book is gotta he gotta find, like, we know he can score, but there's gotta be a different playmaking ability or get better defensively to make him better, because he was selling in game 6. Let's just keep it funky. He was terrible.
Yeah, he just looked out of sorts. I feel like Drew really got into him. Like it looked like even in game 5, right, when he gets the ball stolen, you should have actually shot the ball like 3 seconds before then. He got himself trapped and then like allowed Drew to come down. He just has to get better, man. He just had to get, maybe, he'll get double teamed in the summertime
in pickup games, right?
In pickup games, and won't mind it. But for me, defensively, I think he has to get better defensively. Now, I don't know what him getting better defensively looks like. Maybe it's him playing the passing lanes better. I wonder if his lateral quickness will ever allow him to be a great on-ball defender. But I think he has to at least affect the game in some type of way defensively, because right now he doesn't.
Definitely. What did you think about this series in general, this season in general? Like, a lot of people didn't think we'd be able to get through this season. A lot of COVID protocols. We didn't know if crowds is going to come back. And what did you like? How would you grade this season, playoffs, and the job that Adam Silver did this year?
I know people hate Adam Silver, but I personally think he did the best he could. It was a bad situation. Bad situation. Like what we gonna do? Just not play basketball for 2 years? Well, I mean, you don't know when it's going to end. It may never end. Like,
it might never end.
Yeah, like what you gonna do? Just not play basketball. I think it was a bad situation, but he did the best with what he could do. I don't think all of I know every time everybody got hurt, everybody pointed at Adam Silver. I don't think every injury was Adam Silver's fault. I don't think Kyrie stepping on Giannis's foot is Adam Silver's fault. I don't think Kawhi literally bumping knees and tearing his ACL was Adam Silver's fault. I don't think Jamal Murray even that he was on the injury report for he had missed 6 games and then with a bad knee and then came back. I don't think everything is Adam Silver's fault. I think he did the best. He and the NBA did the best with the situation. And it's actually commendable that they even got through the season. And it's commendable that they even got through the season, in my personal opinion.
So what did you, as far as entertainment value, compared this playoff, this final, last year, I personally didn't enjoy the bubble. I don't know what you if you enjoyed it or not, but were you entertained by the postseason and the finals?
Yeah, I mean, I think for so long, I think people weren't entertained by it because you've been accustomed to the same people winning. You've been accustomed to KD and Steph and LeBron, and it's bro, all these guys are 30. At some day, they're not going to be there anymore, bro. Yep. So you have to start enjoying new players, and I thought that part was cool. Just being able to just see Giannis finally break through, even seeing a team like the Hawks, even seeing Phoenix. And just also even going to the finals in Milwaukee gave me a different level of appreciation for some of these cities that maybe aren't used to, their team actually having a chance to compete for a championship. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. Phoenix was a homegrown team that made the finals. Even Atlanta, a homegrown team for the most part that made the conference finals. Milwaukee, a homegrown team. I was very entertained. And I also think this NBA finals probably was the best NBA finals since 2013.
Yeah, that's what I said.
As far as just every single, I love 2016. 2016 saved my life. I haven't
2016 birthed this podcast.
I haven't frowned for multiple days since LeBron came back 3-1. But let's be real. There were 2 good games in that series. Yeah. It was game 5 and game 7. Those were the only good games. And this every single game outside of probably the first one.
Even the first 2 had elements of intrigue a little bit. Yeah. Giannis trying to come back at the end of game 2. It was entertaining front to back.
Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed this finals, this playoffs. I think we got great moments. I mean, even just in these finals, look at the plays we got that will probably be played forever. Cam Johnson's dunk is going to be in dunk reels forever. Giannis's block is going to be in reels forever. The alley-oop is going to be in reels forever. You know, there's so many players that probably we're going to repeat forever that happen in these playoffs. So yeah.
Now this is going to be a quick off season. You know, the draft is on Thursday. You know, free agency begins, I think, a couple days after that. And we're going to be getting back to our October to June schedule. So it's going to be a short off season again. If you could give us one major off season, I guess, prediction, a player movement, and that's just going to happen that you think will happen this off season.
I think it'll happen this off season.
It can be hot take-ish, whatever.
I just want to see Dame in Philly.
Okay.
I'm just keep saying it. I
want to see Dame in Philly too, honestly.
If Dame wants to leave and he wants to actually win basketball games, like if winning basketball games and not building his personal brand as high as it can go is not top list, but winning basketball games, go to Philly, man. Say, yo, I want to get there. They got a guy that they can send back to Portland in Ben Simmons. Obviously, you know, Ben Simmons may never be a superstar, but I still think Ben Simmons is a bona fide star. Like, he may be the best defensive player, one of them in the NBA. He may win a defensive player of the year. Yeah, so like that's a quality guy. And for Portland, you're probably gonna go to the same place you went with Dame if you get Ben Simmons. So me personally, I want to see Dame in Philly, and I think that the power is switching back to the Eastern Conference.
I hope so, and hopefully my Chicago Bulls be somewhere involved in the next 5 years, God willing. God willing.
You better start going
to Milwaukee. If it happens to Milwaukee, the balance of power has to come back.
Yeah, no, it don't.
The balance of power has to come back.
Don't.
I do think the Bulls need to come home.
I do think the Bulls will will have a competitive team, at least a very competitive team by at least 2024. I do think that.
Let's hope. Let's get into your music, man. Now everybody knows you're rapper by day, Stephen A. Smith by night. You got your project songs about women right now. Of course, I'm interviewing like I don't know shit about this. Like I'm not your manager. Like, I know everything that's going on. But for people for everybody else, tell us about like pretty much what the process was and to go into songs about women. This has been our most successful project. This is the one that's got the most listens, 2 records over 100,000 streams, which is huge. Tell us what the process of that was, why you named this Songs About Women, and what you plan to do the rest of the summer.
I'm not gonna act like it was some like long, drawn out, thought out process. It was really a situation of like, obviously it was deep in quarantine, like the point when like nobody was really going anywhere. Yeah. So I remember like I had started recording with DC had moved, my engineer DC had moved out to LA, and I started recording with him again. Then like everything in the world kind of shut down. I was like, well, I don't want to like not record for months because who knows where this is going. So I got me a little studio set up in the crib and just started recording every day. Obviously, we're recording every day. You're not really leaving the house. So it's like everything ain't that interesting you're not leaving the house. So at some point in time, you can write lyrical, miracle, spiritual, and raps like that. But I just took it and I was like, yo, let me just like rap about something every day. And I talked to a lot of women. Like, so I just started rapping about the women I know, and I would just send them the song because it was cool. And that's really how it came about. And then after a while I was like, yo, I should make a project just called Songs About Women and just like put them together. So that's really was the process. It wasn't like some long drawn out, super thought out thing. It was just the process, just recording every day and wanting something to talk about. And, just recording every day and wanting something to talk about. It's not like I was sat down and, had some long drawn out calculation.
Yeah, a lot of our shit don't be long drawn out. A lot of our shit usually comes from like conversations. We drinking and shit like, hey, be funny shit to do. We should do this.
And what I'm working on the rest of the summer. So shout out my homie T of the swim team. He makes a lot of my production. He moved to LA. We just started hanging out. Obviously, again, deep in quarantine, not like you was seeing everybody. So you would see maybe 4 or 5 people, the same people. We would always hang out. Usually there would be some recording involved. We started making a bunch of songs. It was like, yo, we should make a project. And we hang out all the time anyway. So we should just like talk about our adventures when we go out. So yeah, so that'll be coming really soon for you guys. And
some of my favorite records on them, man. I'm looking forward to people hearing this shit.
Well, thank you, Scott.
See, look, listen, I don't bullshit. Like, if he has a bad song, I'll tell him that shit ass.
Yeah, he will. There have been songs people have liked that he has not liked.
I'm lying. That's some bullshit. Like, so you'll never have to worry about me lying to you about a song. We keep it G over here. So, but let them know where they can follow you, everything that you got. All your social joints.
Everyone on the internet, I'm at Pappy World, so you can follow me there. Pavers.com. Please go to that, check that out. Like I said, Songs About Women is up everywhere you like to stream music. That's Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon Music, if that's what you like to do. YouTube is everywhere. Yeah, man. Follow me. Get in touch with me.
You streaming music so I can move to Beverly Hills, please.
Facts.
Me out. Thanks, G, for joining me, man.
My brother.
Now we're going to close out this episode of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, quarantine edition. Not quarantine, on base edition. As you can see, I'm in my apartment. Hopefully we'll be in the studio, back in the studio in a couple weeks. But Goofy Mog of the Week. Now I had a hard time figuring who was gonna be my Goofy Mog of the Week this week, because there wasn't that much goofy shit that I really cared about talking about. But I saw a little thing going. I hate to do it to my guy, because I like this guy. He's one of my top 5 favorite athletes ever. Without this guy, I wouldn't love sports as much as I do. But I gotta give it to my man Prime. Gotta give it to Deion Sanders, man. And we all know he's the head coach of Jackson State. And he got mad at his media day the other day because one of the reporters did not call him Mr. Sanders, Coach Sanders, and called him Deion, and said if Nick Saban was sitting up here, you wouldn't call him Nick. That's my problem with that, man. First of all, reporters call Nick Saban Nick all the motherfucking time. Let's get that clear right now. He's called Nick all the damn time. Number 2, these ain't your damn players. These ain't your players. These ain't your kids. They ain't got to call you Coach Sanders. I call your ass Deion. And to me, this kind of goes this little thing that old people like to do. You know, a lot of older black people like to do too. Like, oh, you're going to call me Miss So-and-so. I believe respect is earned. If your name is your name, I'm going to call you by your first fucking name. That's just how it is. I'm not gonna, you're not any better than me because you've been on this earth a little longer than that. So it's just a short Goofy Mog. I wouldn't even call it goofy. It was just something kind of annoying. And Deion is more of a victim of me having nobody else to cuss out this week. But Deion, get together, bro. Figure out a way to build that program. Maybe we can get some more athletes in the HBCUs. But besides that, I fuck with everything Deion's doing over there. Love Primetime. He's a top 5 favorite athlete of mine. And for those of you who want to know my top 5 favorite athletes of all time, maybe you don't give a fuck, I'm going to tell you fucking anyway. It's Michael Jordan. It's Kobe Bryant. It's Derek Jeter. It's Tom Brady. And it is Deion Sanders. Those are my top 5 favorite athletes of all time. Now, I thank you all for joining me. Hopefully you don't notice my webcam zooming out as much as it has. It's kind of annoying, but I will get that corrected for next week. I appreciate everybody for listening. Watching and listening on not just HNB Media TV, but also on the Barber's Chair Network. Like to appreciate everybody who's been, supporting me over these last couple weeks. All the love has been overwhelming. I appreciate it, man. We're just trying to build some type of content, man. Hopefully in a couple weeks, we'll be back in the studio. You know where to follow me at Barbershare Scott on Twitter, on Instagram. You can follow the Barber's Chair Network on Twitter and Instagram at Barber's Chair Net. Follow HNB Media, HNB Media TV on Twitter and Instagram. And mess with our Patreon, man. Patreon.com/Barber's Chair Network. $5 summer sessions package. And by the way, new summer sessions will be out on Friday. Me, Pav, Flows, Damien, we'll be back. We're trying to get back consistent with it. Everybody's had some busy schedules over the last couple weeks. We'll be back. And if you want to hear the OT episodes, subscribe. $5 package, $10 package. We're going to be back next week, man. We're going to have the NFL. Hopefully we'll have some movement on NBA and MLB Trade Deadline. Training camp kicks off next week. We really finna get into my favorite time of the year, which is pennant races coming down to the last couple months. We're going to really see what teams separate themselves. And NFL, the Shield is back. Big Rod season returns. We'll be back next week, man. We out. I'm not going to hold you.
On the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line.